Well, this video is an update to a story we carried a while back about North Dakota. Basically, that they were pushing out a bill to put out, and this is a change of wording because people would say they try to push out that porn was a health crisis. Now they're trying to put it as a public health hazard to that situation, and this bill passed the first level. But what we're finding out is that there were those in the Senate in North Dakota that basically said,
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
And the thing about it is that these, and I've said this before, when you hear these attacks on the porn industry, the anime industry, the Japan anime industry as well, manga, video games, music, cartoons, I can go on and on and on, television violence. A lot of this stuff is based on fictitious science or crib note science. In other words, they're picking and choosing certain things on certain research papers and saying, see, it does. And actually it doesn't. Because there are those out there in the medical field that will tell you there is no public health hazard to porn when it comes to it. It's just another art form or another entertainment form. And, you see these people that try to say, no, we can't have this. And most of these people are radicals in religious groups that just basically they want to puritanize the entertainment industry. They want to puritanize the United States. They want us to return back to the Hays Code and all this. And that's censorship. It violates the Constitution. We've talked about this before to this situation. But we're going to read into this. And this is out of AVN News. And North Dakota amends porn public health hazard resolution. North Dakota lawmakers amended a state resolution recognizing pornography as a supposed public health hazard. According to a report published by KVRR, a local Fox affiliate, the resolution has already been passed by the Senate. KVRR reports that the original resolution claimed that being exposed to sexually explicit material on the internet somehow poses health risks. However, a committee voted to amend the resolution, compelling the legislature to study whether porn affects people negatively and if the state government should take action against it. SCR 4017 was introduced by several state senators who were able to secure a due pass endorsement from the State Judiciary Committee. Much of the language used in SCR 4017 emulates the popular talking points used by the anti-pornography movement, including that claims that adults who watch legal pornography are perpetrating sexual assault, the objection of children, and the proliferation of sex trafficking. Not only these claims are false, but they are broadly applied to any lewd, indecent, or obscene depictions of sexual explicit activity. One common element of these pornographic public health crisis resolution is the lack of differentiating between illegal and legal material. The movement to declare pornography a public health crisis is rooted in an ideology that is antithetical to any core values of public health promotion and is a political stunt, not reflective of the best available evidence, argued Kimberly M. Nelson and Emily F. Rothman in a 2020 for the peer-reviewed American Journal of Public Health. Yes, there are those out there. There are those out there that have done the research. They've gone out and did the work that is needed to talk about this. And yes, this is, of course, these are people that are trying to fearmonger the situation. They said, well, it causes, guys who watch porn, what about the women who watch porn? Do they perpetrate sexual assault? Do you have that information as well? No. They always push it that it's the guy's fault. It's the men's fault. But the thing about it is, a lot of women do watch pornography. It has been and always a situation. Even back during the VHS era, you could look back the amounts, and then, of course, the objectification of children and the proliferation of sex trafficking is an issue always. But the thing about it is, they don't do the right things to try to stop this. Yes, it is stopping. Look at what's going on at the border. Now, the border is pretty much shut down at this point, but look what happened prior to that. All you had to do was come over here to Queens, Roosevelt Avenue, and you saw the young girls up and down the avenue itself prostituting themselves out. Yeah, that happened. It's cleaning up now because of we have Trump back in office again, and ICE is out there making their arrests the way it's supposed to be. Now, is New York NYPD helping? They can't. Their hands are tied. These politicians, Mayor Adams, Governor Hochul, they ain't going to do nothing to the fact to help. They have been a detriment. AOC, the same situation. They are detriment to New York City. They need to be all voted out. And those who want to get in onto the situation, they're just as bad. This is why I believe there's probably going to be a Republican governor and probably a Republican mayor in the next election because people are tired of the situation. We had this happen before, and then we elected Mayor Giuliani. Giuliani cleaned up New York. It became a safer place to live. But when it comes down to it, and I said this before, obscenity. This is what they want to change. They push these bills out so they're able to go further. These bills are very vague to the element, to the situation. When you read them, it's like they can go after anything they deem obscene at this point. And what I mean by that, they can go after, if you're familiar with the series The Red Shoe Diaries that was on Cinemax, they can go after the Brian De Palma movies like Dress to Kill, Body Double. They can go after the movie Last Tango in Paris, Caligula, and many other films. They can go after pretty much a good chunk of the 1980s sex romp movies, the college romp films, Ski School, and all that. They can go after all of those movies as well. A lot of it that was on USA Up All Night. Then they'll go after the action films. They'll go after the horror films. They won't stop. See, that's the thing. It's obscenity. Remember, we had the Hays Code here for a good chunk of decades. The Supreme Court found that basically it violates the Constitution. So the Hays Code was deposed. The MPAA was born of it. Now we're back to the same thing over again in a different sphere with Hays Code 2.0. I call it Hays Code 2.0. Because if you're familiar with what the judgment was in the Supreme Court, it was that basically the Hays Code was stifling the artistic expression of the writers, the producers, the directors of these movies and TV series. That's what was happening. Because you saw what happened starting in the 1970s. You start seeing movies like MASH, the black exploitation movies. Once you got out of the 60s into the 70s, because you started to ban certain films like Texas Chainsaw, Deep Throat, and some of the others. Once you got past the 70s, those things stopped happening. You have movies like MASH. MASH was like one of the first, not the TV series, the movie. One of the earliest movies to say fuck in a movie. Yeah, that's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Under legal precedents to that situation. You had black exploitation films. You had horror films, sci-fi. You had a renaissance of entertainment. Some good movies, some Oscar-winning movies, some, not so great, but you enjoyed them. Some of the best directors, writers, producers, special effects people came from this. Some of it's called the Roger Corman School of Film. Yeah, that's right. Some of the top movies, including Oscar, we would not have today if it wasn't for that era. But this is what they want to get rid of. This is what they want to go after. Even the comedy, they want to go. They're still going after Dave Chappelle and many other comedians to that situation. Ask comedians, locally, what they're going through to the situation, because there was a time, let me tell you, Lenny Bruce, George Carlin, and many others that were arrested due to certain obscenity laws that were still going on. You had a radio station that got into a discussion talking about a George Carlin bit, the 7 deadly words, blah, blah, blah. And basically they got fined for that situation. Now, I understand, the language and stuff like that. But in the context of the situation and the way they were promoting it, is they were in a conversation about it. But one person didn't like that. They said, "Oh, my son's here." If his son was there, I don't know. And guess what? His group was called Morality and Media. Yeah, and today they're known as NOSC. If you're familiar with that group, they changed their name. Basically, they don't want to be known for what they truly want to do is put morality back in media. That's what they want to do. And they have been trying for many years. They've taken Cosmopolitan and Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition off the front counters of Walmart. Girls in bikinis, they don't want them up front there. They consider it pornography. Cosmopolitan, they consider it pornography because it talks about women's issues, including sex. They don't want that in the front cover. They don't want them to, to have conversations about health issues. Sex is a health issue. As far as, hey, listen, there are sexually transmitted diseases. There are situations where you might have problems with your relationships and stuff like that. And there are discussions in this magazine on there. Yeah, I know, it's a beauty and all this situation. How to entice your husband. That's okay. That's fine. Some people do have those problems. Relationship problems. If anything, to endorse a situation to keep people married, you would think they would be behind this situation. Because they have had some articles. Keep your man. But look at where we are at today. Homes without fathers. Children growing up without fathers on there, committing crimes, going to jail, to situations. That's why people don't think to what they're trying to push. Because there are laws that are being trying to push on the book. We went through the age verification, which is now, however you want to call it, because there have been changes to it. Because when they try to push a new law out there, they'll change the basically the language of the law. But it's all the same. They change the name, similar to what this says. Now it's a public health hazard. It went from crisis to hazard. Figure that one. Figure that one. And while you're figuring that out, please do comment. Let me know your thoughts about this. Don't forget to like, share this video, and hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. Once again, yes, we are a bit slow in content coming out. We should be back up and running completely in April. We're hoping on that. We're resolving some family situations, issues, health issues. Myself, I went through, if you haven't watched my video yet, I was injured. Still trying to prop up back in again. Hopefully I should be back up at full strength, hopefully soon on there. I'm still walking around with a walker. The things that happen to the situation. And also we're resolving a family issue that basically has been going on for several years now, a legal issue that is coming to, hopefully when you get this video, hopefully we've already finished that issue, that it's come to a final resolution to that point, which we will be popping champagne corks at this point because of how long it's been. So hopefully cross fingers on that. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye now.